Romans 5:8 says, "But God demonstrated His own love to us in this, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us." I hope you know this one.
Go back to the time of Jesus, in the point is they mentioned when He was crucified. He was crucified not over a religious argument. He was crucified over a political argument. The government that had power to do that, the church did not have power, the Sadducees did not have power to kill Him. They had to go to the government to get power to do that. You follow the line. They had to get them to give the church the authority. Okay, you can crucify this guy. Caesar, Pilate, they did not care what his theological views were. They were concerned about how he was impacting society. That there were followers that were following him. And he was making a difference among them. Thousands were gathering to see him. He was feeding them. He was providing for them. They were listening to him. He was stirring them up because miracles were being performed. And now this question of the King of the Jews had arisen. That is a political statement. He had injected himself into a political arena that was at his desire. No, he wasn't trying to become the next Caesar. But yet every time, because politics will always be downstream from culture, and religion will always be upstream from that, or faith will be. That's why when we talk about a biblical worldview, it is how we approach this world. What do we make our decisions based upon? Now let's go back to the story of Jesus. This is why the question is so relevant when Caesar then asked him, or Pilate asked him about truth. Remember that big question? Truth? What is truth? That's what a biblical worldview
is. Jesus didn't come to bring Christianity to the world. He came to bring the kingdom of heaven to earth. And so what did that mean? That meant that he could walk around and people could say things about him, and it didn't bother him. He was just going to go about and do what he was going to do. And so I think as Christian men, identity is an important thing, because what the devil's going to tell us, and humility is once you get that humility of God in you, then you can really understand who you are in Him, that you were a sinner. This is what baptism represents. And then you died, that old man died, was buried, you go underwater if you're that type of baptism, and then you come out and you're a new creation. The New Testament says we're a new creation, that the old man is dead and this new creature exists. Paul even says we're seated with Christ in heavenly realms. That makes us a little bit of a big deal on earth. Now, that's not humility. No, I gotta understand that it's Him that did it, not me. But once I understand that He did it, I can walk in that, and I can be a powerful kingdom being on earth, where I always say I become a thermostat, not a thermometer. You know the difference? A thermometer measures the temperature in a room. A thermostat changes the temperature in a room. And Christians ought to change the atmosphere wherever they go, because we ought to carry a strength and a courage and a hope with us that affects people around us in a positive way. If we're affecting people in a negative way into fear, we're walking in partnership with a different identity than what Jesus called us to.
I think our pulpits have been silenced. We have allowed, again, culture to impact what the pastors are saying, and it should not be that way. Pastors should be impacting the culture. Great hero of mine, great model of mine, I have this picture hanging in my office, is the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He impacted this nation. He changed this nation. He did that not from a political office, but from a pulpit that went to the streets. Amen. He said, this is not right, and the church got behind him. That's where the civil rights movement started, in the church, and carried on through society. That was a prophetic voice that spoke out against the injustice of that day. We have got to have more prophetic voices. I think every pastor has that responsibility. But unfortunately, we're allowing culture to impact what is happening in the pulpit. We cannot allow that to happen. You go back to, I believe it was Edwards, that said that if there was corruption at the White House, it is the pulpit's fault. If there is corruption in Congress, it is the pulpit's fault. If there's corruption, he went down a whole list of where the sins have been visited, and we always want to blame Washington and the White House and Congress and City Hall and all that. He laid the blame back. No, it's because pastors, the pulpit, are not speaking out the way that they should. And if we would do that, and that's prophets throughout the Old Testament, we have seen that. That's what I mean by a prophetic voice. Many refer to mine as a pathetic voice, but a prophetic voice that would speak out.
I've met a lot of pastors in town, and I just love the hearts of the pastors of Fresno. I can't say that I've met one that I don't think has a heart just to see God do amazing things for the people in their community and for the city. And so that really excites me, and that gives me great hope. I think the one thing we have to avoid, well, I shouldn't say that. I should just say one thing I see that we have to be careful of, again, is going in our power to do it rather than God's power. And that's why I do talk about the politics of the church some, because I feel like at times we've really put our hope in politics and voting. And as our power as a political action committee, that has at times, I think, been a distraction from what God would have us do, which is go in a prophetic voice and see what He's doing and call out where He's going rather than what we're doing.